the meeting to order. I'd like to start out by saying it's nice to be back. Since I was
Good to
not
see you.
here since last year. And John, I appreciate you taking on.
Absolutely.
In my
My
absence, I
pleasure.
missed 2 meetings. I'm sure the commission was in very good hands. So appreciate that. So I'll go through the additional walkthrough of how we run these meetings, and we'll start the process. So, good evening. This is the regularly scheduled June 22nd meeting of the Geneva Planning and Zoning Commission. I am Scott Stocking, Chairman of the Commission. Tonight, for those benefit in the audience, I'm joined by Rebecca Holman, Anna Miskiel, Tim Moran, Mim Evans, John Mead, Community Director David DeGroot, Matt Busing, and Assistant Planner Jesse Muncy. Virtual attendees may watch or participate in a live stream meeting by accessing the link provided in the meeting's agenda on the city's website at www.geneva.il.us. For more information about meeting procedures and providing public comment, please see notice regarding meeting and public comment rule modification. This evening, the Commission will host a concept review for Agenda Item 5A, followed by a subdivision review for Agenda Item 6A. As Chairman of tonight's meeting, I'll guide the public, applicant, and Commission through the review process. As a friendly reminder, Items 5A and 6A do not require a public hearing. However, members of the public wishing to make comments or ask questions regarding these items may do so in the public comment portion of the meeting at agenda on Item 7. So we're going to hold comments and we'll finish all the presentations, then Item 7 is the next one that the public will be able to speak. In order to help the quality of the meeting broadcast, I recommend that all commissioners mute themselves except when they are addressing the commission. Commissioners are also encouraged to state their name prior to speaking and prior to providing a roll call vote. In this case, we're not going to have any roll call votes. We're just going to look at stuff this evening to better assess our record keepers. But basically, if you can identify yourself, that'd be fine. So that's how we're going to proceed the meeting. Are there any questions? Pretty straightforward. Tonight's really no public meeting where you have to go through the whole process, but we're just here to review 2 proposals today. Just get initial comments. Okay? All right, with that, Matt, would you please call roll?
Mead,
Here. Meet here.
Evans,
Evans here.
Slifka, Holloman,
Holloman here.
Mataskill,
Mataskill here.
Moran,
Moran here.
Stocking.
Stocking here. Okay, great. So next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda for this evening's meeting.
Move to approve the agenda. Holloman second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of the June 8th, 2023 meeting. Any changes, modifications?
Moran moved to approve. Mataskill second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So we'll start with our concept review items. The first one is 5A. It's QuikTrip. It's a conceptual review of a proposal to develop a gas station and detention area on 7 parcels totaling 13.09 acres of vacant land at the southwest corner of Kirk Road and Illinois Route 38. The proposal would require an amendment to the East Gateway PUD to permit a gas station and to revise the originally proposed street layout. The location is generally located in the southwest corner of Kirk Road and Illinois Route 38, pin number 12-01-351-012, 013, 014, 015, and 12-101-002, 003, and 004. The applicant is Skylar Evans from QuikTrip.
Yes, thank you. As stated, my name is Skylar Evans. I'm the real estate project manager for QuikTrip. I really appreciate y'all's time and letting me come and present our project here. And hopefully we can work together and get this going in the future. I want to start out a little bit about the company. So we were started in 1958, and we're still currently owned and operated by the founding family. A lot of really big stuff for us. The really big thing for us recently is we opened up our 1,000th store. It was in Austin, Texas. But we are expanding, and we're really happy to be doing it. QuikTrip as a company really likes to get involved with the community. Last year, we donated $50 million to charitable companies. United Way, Folds of Honor, those are two really big ones that we like to help. And we're also nationally recognized as a safe place for endangered youth. So all the employees in the stores as well as at the service center that you can call to, they're all trained to work with law enforcement to help the youth get where they need to go safely. And then QuikTrip as a company is fantastic to work for. I'm a really great example of that. I started out as a night assistant in stores in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then I worked in the service center. So if you guys ever call a QuikTrip service center, you're talking to real people in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And after that, I moved over to real estate, and here we are. QuikTrip helps with tuition reimbursement and scholarships for employees' children. It's a really good opportunity. We have several people that take advantage of it every year. All the way up to our CEO and our president, they've all worked inside the store, so everybody knows how it is to work with the public. Even through COVID, as a company, we have never laid anybody off since 1958 all the way up to now. We like to keep our employees. I know that everybody was shown a previous version of the site plan. Due to the Kirk Road improvements, we've made some adjustments. One of the big ones is the canopy. Instead of being all in one row, it's double stacked so that we can make sure that the right-of-way taking for Kirk Road, we're within those boundaries. Here's a little bit more detailed version of it. In front of y'all, there is our civil plans. It goes a little bit of everything from our site plan to demolition to landscaping. Currently, I'm sure everybody is aware what the site looks like now. This is a Google Earth image of it. These are our building elevations. We like to stay very consistent. We are willing to work as well to make sure that we fit within the city code. But this is generally what our building will look like. This is a perspective. This is what we expect the store to look like whenever we get completed. This is what it would look like from State Street. And the truck entrance on State Street, this is where we would see most of the truck drivers come through. This is our diesel canopy. We do have 4 bays on there. I think the agenda had 5, but we are proposing 4. This is what the truck side of it would look like from Kirk Road. We don't have renderings from KDOT for what the bridge will look like at this point. They're still in the process of getting their plans solidified. So once we get those, we'll be able to update this a little bit. Gas canopies, this is what our double stack canopy will look like with 10 pumps. And then this is our overall site. As you can see, State Street is on the bottom and Kirk Road is over to the left side. You can see we plan on trucks coming in from State Street and being able to take a right out on Kirk Road or come back onto State Street and take a right there. Our Nick Vatikas will be speaking next.
Good evening. My name is Nick Fatikas, and I'm actually one of the attorneys working with QuikTrip on the zoning and entitlement process. I do want to thank the commission to have a meeting like this to get some initial feedback and understand some of the issues or some of the concerns and areas that we can continue to work with staff as we develop our plan. I don't want to be redundant, so I'm going to try and highlight some of the zoning details specific to the property. Again, it's about a 13-acre site. QuikTrip is proposing to take approximately 7.68 acres and develop it with the fueling station that was just described. The north portion of the site will have, the one-story convenience store building. That building will contain approximately 7,318 square feet of total floor area, one story in height. I believe it measures out to 20 feet in height dimension. On the north side, also you'll see the canopy with the 10 gas pumps for typical vehicle customers to use. The south portion of the lot, though, will be where the truck fueling component is located. It does show 5 pumps, but that's actually 4 bays. I learned through this process that the trucks pull into the bay, and then because the bigger trucks have 2 tanks, they actually fuel from both sides. So it was a little bit confusing for me, but I wanted to make sure that point was made clear as well. So a total of 4 fueling positions for truck drivers. In terms of on-site parking, we are proposing 10 parking spaces for trucks so that if they do need to park their truck, if there's any type of waiting, it's all done on site. It would never back up onto either of the primary access roads. We also anticipate some of those truck drivers going into the convenience store, but I want to point out that this is not a overnight, there are no shelters, there are no, showers or sleeping quarters. This really is designed, and it's the QuikTrip model, to be more of an in and out type facility. So one of the things, or one of the issues that's come up in other jurisdictions is just that it isn't really, although it offers diesel fuel, it's not a true truck stop in the sense of, again, those amenities that would be offered to keep some of that traffic there. In addition to the 10 parking spaces for trucks, we're also proposing approximately 55 vehicle parking spaces on site. And again, that's to facilitate the folks that want to go into the store, typical traffic, typical cars, not trucks. The access points that Evan spoke to, 2 are on Illinois Route 38, and then 1 driveway on Kirk Road. Doing our best to try and keep this as right in, right out, and manage the amount of traffic that's crossing the streets to get into the site. And as the chairman mentioned, what we're ultimately going to be required to do is pursue an amendment to the plan unit development, specifically to allow the gas station or the fueling station use at the property. We did provide some preliminary civil engineering, how on-site detention is going to be handled. Again, there's some spots right there, the green space, and some other features that we're still working through in terms of planning. But it's obviously something that we would need to present a more complete package at the time of an actual application. That concludes my presentation, and we'd be happy to answer questions and take comments as the chair would like.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Yes, Tim?
I had just 2 questions. So the entrance off of 38 at the west end, is that right in only, which is to say people are not going to be turning left into there going west on 38?
So we're talking about
Where the
bottom right of the
correct.
site. So what we're, and maybe you can speak to the potential street improvements to allow a left-hand turn, so.
Right, yeah, so currently we have a traffic study underway, and once the traffic study is completed, we would obviously make whatever adjustments we needed to ensure that that is a safe route. So whether, sometimes we've added turn lanes, we've created medians, we've widened roads. The possibilities are there. We're absolutely willing to do whatever it takes to make it safe.
Okay. And then my other question is with regard to the what I call the mini mart. Will there be a restaurant or donut shop or anything, or is this pretty much just a
so-
convenience store?
Yeah, so QuikTrip, we ourselves have a kitchen inside our convenience stores. We offer fresh donuts. We do hot items, breakfast biscuits, pizzas, but you can also order subs. We are doing fried chicken as well. In some of our stores, we're constantly testing new foods and bringing new foods to the market. So we, as a company, like to keep everything internal. So it is all our stuff that we offer within the store.
Do you provide seating inside, though?
We do not. So there are seatings, we do provide tables outside, but as our motto is, it's a quick trip. So it's a come in, get what you need, and get back up on your way and enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mim?
Hi, I have a few questions. First one, it appears like there's, and some of these can be maybe better answered by staff. It appears there's a sidewalk coming along State Street from the west to the east. It just comes to the edge of the site. And then there's a sidewalk on Kirk Road going south, but we've got nothing across there. What's the thought in terms of pedestrian or bicycle traffic? Why have those stubbed-in pieces of sidewalks?
I mean, so if I could speak, again, this is a rendering pretty preliminary. So if needed, we would absolutely connect those sidewalks across.
And what would the city likely require as far as sidewalks go in that location?
You know, that's a good question. I think we'd probably have to look into the site there. I don't know if this stretch of roadway is part of the East State Street reconstruction project, so I'd have to reference those plans, but I have to imagine we are continuing the sidewalk across the frontage of this property.
Okay, thank you. My next question is, you mentioned 55 spaces. I believe that was in addition to the truck parking spaces. I was wondering, it seems like a lot for some place that doesn't have dine-in eating. People aren't going to stay long. How did you arrive at 55 spaces?
So within our other markets, again, we've built a lot of stores. We have, at the front of the store, there'll be 10, and on the sides, there'll be 8 to 9 primary parking spaces. And that's most of our customer traffic. People like to come in and get out quickly. The parking that's outside of the store, the immediate proximity of the store, people tend to take a little bit longer at those places, but it's still an in and out flow. And we typically have a lot of customers, so we like to allow for plenty of parking spaces so you don't have continuous rotation through the parking lot of people trying to find space. We have found that it allows for safer ingress and egress out of our sites.
Well, if it's necessary, then, of course, that's what it should be, but if it's not, it seems in general, we've kind of been looking at sometimes reducing parking requirements to eliminate unnecessary paved surfaces, so if it's not necessary, then that would be something I would think about,
Okay.
is the amount of paved surface. Another question, the large green space that you have kind of in the middle there, is that anticipated for some kind of future use or just to remain open space?
So we're still in the preliminary stages, but we currently have 2 options. We are either looking at a detention area for that, so it would remain a green space, but it would be a detention area, or we would be able to allow another user to come in and take that space. So it's kind of up in the air, whichever works best for the site as far as like the detention requirements go. Then it will kind of determine what that piece is.
So if you leave it as is and it's not called out in the PUD as for an additional user, you have to come in for some kind of a PUD
To allow that
modification,
one. Okay.
revision at that point to add a second user. And then your parking spaces would probably be needed in the long run. Okay, last question, and this is more for staff. I know that the intention was this not be a gas station at this corner. Why was there a feeling that this should not be a gas station, and what has changed so that we should think about it being a gas station?
Well, yeah, I think originally the plan was for the site to have kind of restricted uses in terms of commercial uses. So kind of around that whole PUD, those two corners on the west side of this site and then on the east side, we were trying to limit
Right.
gas stations not being there.
Why, though?
I think just to, I don't know to the why, I guess, but.
Yeah, I mean, that predates myself and Matt, of course, but I think, with the existing gas stations on the north side of Route 38, there was a desire maybe not to repeat that same development pattern on the south side with auto-oriented uses. That's the best conclusion I can come to looking at the PUD, but I think gas stations naturally want to be on the hard corners.
So I'm just wondering if there is any reason that the city should try to encourage another use on that corner, or whether that's not really that important. I don't really have a good sense of that. That's all I've got. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
John, let's stay on that side of the fence.
Sure, I had the same question on the green space, so thanks for answering that. For staff, the southeast corner, we approved a vehicular automobile use there, and is that still progressing?
So the southeast corner, we had a similar concept review
Right.
about 2 or 3 years ago.
Correct.
With the same question kind of being raised.
Right.
So it never did progress any further than the concept review.
I think they've cleared the site,
They
which is
clear a site and
interesting.
somebody's putting storm sewers in.
Right, they have, I think just to help market the property.
Okay.
They have
So it hasn't changed hands as
cleaned
far
up the
as you know?
site. But no, it hasn't, to my knowledge, changed hands.
Okay, that's all I had for right now.
Yes, Rebecca.
Thanks. I was noticing here on this drawing, I guess, between parcel A and parcel B, I guess, a proposed signal, like light, is that an old,
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that might be from the prior PUD approval, or the current PUD approval. David, if you,
oh. So that was my question about that intersection on the west, right there.
correct.
Is that something that is being considered, or no? You were saying you would do.
Not signalized, possibly in working with KDOT, either a widening or reorganizing the landscape median to allow a safe left turn. And
A
I'm,
left turn in, and then what about like a left turn out?
see, I think
Is that-
what we're probably, in this case, what we're probably trying to do is restrict it to right out.
Okay,
So right out from both exits.
okay, but then maybe
But possibly a left in just to access the site. So the egress would be the other direction.
okay. I would not want to see another light go in there.
No.
Yeah, I think, and again, if I caught your comment, I don't know if another signal would be, I think it would be too close. I think
Yeah.
the best we could do is probably provide widening, provide the turn lane, but I don't believe that we would get approval on many levels for an additional signal right there.
Okay.
Yes, Anna.
Just got a couple, I know this is all very preliminary, so I have no questions about that, but when did QuikTrip enter the Illinois market, out of curiosity?
So our first store opened up in May.
Okay,
So we had one open up in May in Bellevue.
Bellevue.
And then we also have one open in Peru. That opened up this month, so.
Okay, so those are the only two additional locations in Illinois?
In the upper part, we do have some around St. Louis. Obviously, St. Louis and Chicago area are completely different.
markets, yeah.
So I wouldn't want to send you guys all the way down there to go look at something.
Okay, all right, very good.
If I could just follow up on that too. QuikTrip is obviously looking to expand into the Chicagoland metropolitan market. We've worked together on projects in Alsip, currently have proposals in Roselle, Franklin Park, and I'm missing West Chicago. So we have a few different active sites, again, mostly organized around heavier traffic highways or even expressways
Got it.
to try and pick up the existing truck traffic.
Excellent, okay. And then I just have a question for staff. I know this is restricted commercial, wanting to limit use of, automobile or gas station. Can you give me a sense for what is approved or what we potentially could see there if we don't allow for that?
I think it's mostly just fairly general commercial uses. Gas stations were kind of one of the few limited. Prohibited uses.
Okay. That's all I kind of wanted to get a sense for.
I had a similar question. The tailored permitted, so that's sort of like just somebody else, like they'd have to come for approval for something?
I think that's just referencing that there are specific uses kind of laid out in the PUD for each parcel as to what is allowed and what is prohibited.
Okay.
I have one additional question. Do you provide any kind of EV charging stations?
Currently, EV charging stations, we're testing them. We don't have any coming to any of our stores here in Illinois as of right now. Our stores in Denver do have them, but we're trying to figure that whole thing out. Obviously, we're a gas station. It's not really a part of our business model at this point, but we are in the process of moving towards that in conjunction.
One of the other points, because this question came up just last week in another jurisdiction. One of the interesting things is the technology that that QuikTrip has been exploring. Sometimes the charge times are 30+ minutes, 45 minutes, and it seems to be, and again, I'm not speaking for QuikTrip on this point, it seems to make more practical sense to put those EV charging stations in places like a shopping center or possibly a grocery store parking lot where you may anticipate being there for a half an hour and you can fill up, or you could charge while you're shopping, and kind of the proverbial two birds with one stone. At the same time, though, while it is potentially a little bit in conflict with the gas station business model, it just doesn't seem right just yet to be at a point in technology where people get the same quick in and out service. Because again, pull into a gas station, you're usually out hopefully 5, maybe 10 minutes. To have to sit for 45 or half an hour, it just isn't in the model just yet.
Question for staff related to this, and perhaps you could comment with your business model also. If we look 10 years down the road or 15 years down the road or whatever, the projections are that gasoline and diesel fuel will be outsold by other forms of vehicle fuel, EV or whatever else comes along. Putting in gas stations often limits the future use of a site because of environmental issues with the tanks underneath. Has the city given any thought to the potential reuse of gas station sites should the demand for gas stations a decade from now be considerably less than it is now?
I mean, in great detail, no, but I can say that we have several sites throughout town that used to be former gas stations where the tanks have been removed and the EPA has issued a no further remediation letter, and they've been repurposed, whether, Dunkin' Donuts is a good example of a former
Right.
gas station
It's
that's been
expensive, though.
repurposed.
It's challenging.
Takes time.
Yeah.
More recently on South First Street, we had the Sicko go out, and that tank's been removed, and the site's being prepared for another use.
And as far as your company's concerned, what's your long-term business model in if there is such a decline in for gasoline, diesel, fuel?
Yeah, thank you. So it's a great question. So as a company, we rely on we progress our food offer to also take place of gasoline at some point in time, because again, as a company that sells gas, we also look to the future and see what gasoline futures hold. So we've increased our food offer a lot. As far as EV stuff, again, we're testing it. We know that there's a bunch of different models out there. The reason, as Nick touched on, is that even the stage 3 chargers, it still takes upwards of 30 minutes to fully charge a vehicle. It does take a long time. I think in the future that as the technology progresses, it will become more a part of our business model because it makes more sense as the charging time lessens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John?
In the staff's report on page 5, there's a couple points of consideration, and point 2 said, should the proposed street platted between parcels A and B along the southern edge of parcel B and B1 be omitted in the final development plans? I'm just curious where that might fall on there, anticipating that some of the parcel to the south of QuikTrip may be developed in the future, and those folks may need to access up to the northwest corner of the site. And just curious if there any plan to preserve that right-of-way, and it might be along right where the trucks enter, or it might be that it jogs over, but maybe you could point out where that sits. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but.
If I could step up there real quick.
Absolutely. It's this road coming in off of Kirk and exiting here. So that seems to be, but that would also benefit future development. The land's not going to be vacant land forever, and it'll be a neighbor of yours, and hopefully, one that can coexist with you.
Yes, that's a good question. We actually have before helped set up our additional property for additional users. So that includes setting up the easements and roadways to allow access to their properties, as well as setting up running electricity fittings and stuff like
Right.
that, so that they can come in and do their building and what they need to for their parcel.
So maybe when you come back, I'll try to remember, if you will, that we'll talk about this again on how you would coexist with development to the south.
Okay, perfect, yeah. I will bring that up and have an answer for you.
Just a follow-on question to John's question. So I know you don't have final topo for the site, but based on the topography of this site sloping down to the south, probably going to put a retention wall on that south border. We'd like
Yeah.
to have something nice there because it's highly visible on Kirk coming up from the north.
Yeah, absolutely. We have several buildings that we have done the ornamental retention walls, especially on the entrances into cities and stuff like that. We do want to make sure that we're standing tall and proud whenever people come into
It's going to be
into the
pretty
city.
visible from coming up on Kirk and from going north.
Right. And also, we are working with KDOT on their stuff, trying to work with them to make sure that as they build Kirk Road and fix that we're not trying to take anything or trying to co-build with them, I guess, the entrance on Kirk Road. So we would make sure that that's obviously in line with what they have.
Go ahead, Rebecca. Go ahead.
Or is it a 24-hour, or is it, what are the hours of the?
Yes, so we are a 24-hour operation. We do not, as Nick mentioned, we don't allow overnight parking or have truck amenities. In this store, we would more than likely have 2 night assistants on staff at the same time, and then anywhere from 8 to 10 people throughout the normal day. So this store will probably employ anywhere between 22 to 30 people.
Are all of your facilities 24 hours?
Yes.
Okay. And you said they have, from one of the previous slides, all of the surveillance and security and
Yes.
safety?
Actually, I worked in the security center in Tulsa as I worked in the service center. And we would take the phone calls and we would watch video with the police officers. We have state-of-the-art security systems. It's not the typical pictures that you see on the news of really graded. We can actually, if we needed to, some of our cameras are able to pick up license plates to help the police officers whenever something happens. So it covers every inch of our property, all the way out to the property lines. Our cameras are able to see across the streets if they have the newer cameras that we're installing on all of our newer buildings. Most of the time they can get clear views of stuff across the street as well. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions? No question. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate your
Thank you.
presentation.
Thanks for your time.
Yep. Okay, we'll move on to our second review. This is 6A. It's a subdivision review for the Cooper Woods Resubdivision. Request for a subdivision of a Cooper Woods subdivision and consolidate lots 8 through 10 into 2 lots, and to consolidate lots 18 through 21 into 3 lots. Location is 1401, 1413, 1425, 1437, 1448, 1466, and 1482 Hooper Lane, and pins 12-04-476-084, 085, 086, 087, and 12-04, 488-001, 002, and 003. The applicant is George Havlicek of Havlicek Builders, Inc. We'll hear from the applicant, please.
Well, good evening. I'm Rich Garrard, and I'm an attorney representing the applicant, which is Havlicek Builders, and the owner, developer, builder of the homes, George Havlicek. He's present here and be happy to answer any questions that you've got. I think you've got the plan in front of you. The signature page probably doesn't help you too much, but it's a fairly straightforward thing he's doing. And there was 21 lots in Cooper Woods subdivision, and George builds custom homes there. What he's asking to do is on the north side, he wants to take 4 existing lots that are fully developed in there and make them 3 lots by moving the lot line. And then on the east side, he's taking 3 lots and making them 2 lots by moving the lot line. So none of the street, it's fully developed, none of the streets are being changed, none of the setbacks, there's no variances, there's no other changes, no major utilities are being moved. It basically is moving the lot lines to allow larger lots. So for instance, on the north side, those lots go from 10,000 square feet today to, with this, they'd be 12,500 square feet. And the purpose of it is to more accommodate the homes and yards, and because the homes are a little tight there. And it's simply that, to allow more room for the yards and accommodating the homes that are being built there with 3-car garage and other types of things. So we'd be happy to answer any questions you have, but as I said, it's pretty straightforward. We're actually asking to reduce 2 lots from the subdivision in density, not add any. So I won't take any more of your time unless you've got some questions or questions of George.
John?
Just one. Was there any thought given to doing a similar thing to lots 11, 12, and 13 on the south side?
It's your mic on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was there any similar thought into consolidating the 3 lots, 11, 12, and 13 into 2? I'm just looking at the relative sizes, and maybe that's something down the road, depending on demand.
And it could be down the road. I think George looked at the plan we have now and looked that he could afford to lose the 2 lots and make it all work. So, and he does have a couple of sales already on other lots. So I think if in the future that's what it turns to be, then we'll come back and ask again.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Rebecca.
This question, I think, is more for staff. I was just curious about the percentage of home size versus like the coverage, I guess. Does it change? Or what, is there a set percentage of, home coverage versus green space?
There is, and it's a standard regardless of the lot size, so.
Okay, so it will go.
I think it would be 40% in the zoning district, and it would remain 40% on the larger lots.
Okay, so you could build a larger home, with the.
You'd have more area to cover.
More area.
Right, and you allowed more floor area as well.
Okay, I was just curious about that. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious, how many lots are sold in there, in that subdivision?
I believe 8 homes have been built, and there's 2 pending sales. I asked George if that's correct.
I believe so.
Yes.
Is there specific interest in the larger lots that's been expressed, that you think some sales would occur?
Yeah, come on forward,
ahead,
please.
please.
George Havlicek. Part of it is the requirements with the FAR, the floor area ratio. And if people want to put in more landscaping, when I proposed the subdivision, I talked to a lot of past customers that were downsizing, and it was important to them to have the quality, but just not the size. It turns out with the regulations now, you know, you're limited on size of your patios, you know, you can't do as much, you know. Are the homes larger? Not really, but 3-car garages are more important than I had believed. So really, that's all it is about. And there's a similar subdivision not far down the road, and when I looked at them overall, they just looked a little tight, you know, just a little on top of one another. And the lots that we have on the golf course that abut Geneva Golf Club, I think look really great and have, you know, some space between them. And so that was what led me to do this. And someone, you know, pools are popular nowadays, especially since COVID. And so you couldn't even put a pool or very small patios and stuff. So it's probably a detriment financially for me, but I just think overall it would improve the subdivision. I think the people that are already there are very much behind it, and I just think it would look better. So that's really what it is.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Just got one
Yes,
quick
yeah.
question. If I may, Mr. Havlicek, so you're saying that it really isn't to accommodate for a larger home, it's just to give a little more breathing room for the homes, be able to have some more land where they could kind of spread out, if I'm not mistaken. Is that kind of the
Correct.
gist?
Yeah, it was never meant to have really large homes in there, you know, and the homes it's not that they're gonna get any bigger, it's just that, you know, and the one that we have a contract on, if pending on this, is they do want a pool, you know, they want some really nice landscaping and patio, and we simply couldn't accommodate them, and I would have lost them. And so when I was thinking, I just thought, well, overall, I think it would look better for everybody. That was really it.
What are the size on average that you're looking to build on
Oh,
lots?
you know, the ones on the golf course, I think range, you know, 3,500. We had a ranch house in there, 2,400. So, you know, they'll probably all, you know, stay under 4,000 feet, which is probably some of the smaller homes we build, to be honest. So.
Right, and you're probably talking about the greenhouse subdivision down past the pool, is that what you're talking about, this
Yeah, it was a
recent
nitty
subdivision?
development, and listen, I think the homes look really nice.
Yes,
So I don't want to
but the
say
lots do
anything
look a little tight.
against that, but when I look at them, I'm like, I have some lots that probably would look similar if we hadn't done this. The other lots you're talking about, one's an corner lot, so you can get a side-load garage in it and stuff like that, but that is a thought, depending on, you know, what they're looking for. Those lots are deeper.
Right.
But that might be a possibility, like Rich said, that, you know, down the road if we find that necessary, but, so.
Very good, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
For staff, condition 8 on page,
You didn't take a vote on this.
You know what, one other thing I should say, we have agreed to all the conditions that were recommended by staff. Staff filed a report and recommended approval based on a number of conditions, and we've agreed to all the conditions, meaning George.
And so the commission's going to take a vote to recommend either approval or denial of the plat of re-subdivision?
Right.
And so we'll do that now.
Yeah.
and I had one question for staff. Condition number 8 is the conditions of approval outlined in Resolution 2016-58, which I think is the original subdivision approval from us, shall apply to the re-subdivided lots. And
Correct.
I'm not asking you to articulate those, but just that there's nothing in there that are warrant additional discussion, I'm assuming, so.
No, it was regarding the land cash contributions to
Okay,
the school and park
okay,
districts, final engineering approval, kind of the standard conditions you'll see on a plat of subdivision.
Ready for a motion?
We need one.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for approval of a re-subdivision of the Cooper Woods subdivision to consolidate lots 8 to 10 into 2 lots and to consolidate lots 18 to 21 into 3 lots, subject to the findings of fact contained in the staff report, and most specifically, subject to the 8 conditions outlined on page 4 of the staff report.
Second, Evans?
Moved and seconded. I guess, Matt, you're going to take the roll.
Yes. Holloman,
Holloman, aye.
Metaskill,
Madaskil, aye.
Moran,
Moran, aye.
Mead,
Need I.
Evans,
Evans, aye.
Stocking.
Stocking, aye. All right. Very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
And so
Appreciate it.
this will go to City Council on July 3rd. It'll be 7 PM, same location, City Hall. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to public comment, number 7. So this would be an opportunity for those online, and here present we have one individual to have comment. I think we'll take the gentleman here in City Hall first, and then we'll take the people that are on remote who wish to speak on this matter. So.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Hendrik Reich, resident on 674 Green Meadow Lane. Came here today to learn more about the QuikTrip project. I guess my comment as a nearby resident is, while I do like the QuikTrip concept, I do not probably would want to see another gas station there because I just don't see the point. We have 2 gas stations on the opposite side. We have the Pride of the Fox on 38. Which pretty much narrows down that we don't need more gas stations. We'd have further implications on traffic there. If we look at the other benefits, such as food and convenience, we have smaller businesses on the opposite side, and we also have smaller food businesses right by Pride of the Fox. So I guess the only pro I would see is the capacity to fuel up trucks, which I think may be triggered by all of the warehouses that were recently approved or that are being built. But the fact that the city had decided to limit this piece of land for gas station use, I think should be factored in carefully as you make this decision. And that's my comment.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yes. Okay, and there's no one else here present in City Hall, so I'll go remotely. If you wish to be recognized to speak on this matter, please use the raise hand function on the application and you'll be recognized to speak. Okay, one more time. If you're watching remotely and you wish to speak on this matter, please use the raise hand function on your application so you can be recognized to address the commission. All right, so we'll move on to other business. Matt, what we got going?
So I've just got one note. The 2 projects that came before us at the last meeting, we had the 602 Maple Lane variation, and then we also had the Isaacs Upholstery parking lot. Both of those were approved by City Council, I believe unanimously. So those are approved and ready to go forward.
Good. Okay.
And that's all I got.
And how are we looking on future meetings?
We'll probably have pretty consistent meetings coming forward. I believe we should have 1 case at the first July meeting, and we're looking at potentially 1, maybe 2 for the second July meeting.
Okay.
And then we'll have to go from there. But we got projects kind of moving forward at a quicker pace now, so I would expect more consistent meetings down the line.
Okay.
I will not be at the July 27th.
The second, okay, 27th.
I think it's the 27th.
Yeah, yeah.
We do.
John, you wish to say something? Okay, sound like you're going to do something.
Sure, with the class.
Yep. Okay. I don't know. I guess that's it. There's nothing else really going. I'm glad that I was not here. One of the big things that I missed the first meeting is the Dunkin' Donuts opened, and I wasn't here for that.
Can't ask about it anymore.
That was so awesome.
Yeah, I have one more question, actually. Do you have any update on the, I don't know what the project was called, I think the Bullock campus, that corporate park that was supposed to be built on that field?
Mm-hmm. It's still under review right now. We're awaiting another submittal from them, so staff will have to conduct another review, and then, yeah, we'll go
It'll
from
still
there.
be before us at some point, so just keep an eye on the website. So.
Okay, cool.
All right, if that's it.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, ma'am.